A 6-month-old can hear the difference between every language on Earth. By their first birthday, they can't. Something happens in that window that rewires the brain forever. And it starts long before the first word, long before the first sound outside the womb. Here's what's wild. Your baby is already a language learner. Right now. Whatever age they are. Because this process doesn't flip on at birth. It began in the 3rd trimester when the auditory system came online and started picking up everything. Babies run one of the most powerful learning systems biology has ever produced. And they do it before they can hold their own heads up. Researchers at the University of North Carolina got their first real look at this back in 1980. Anthony DeCasper and William Pfeiffer had pregnant women read a passage aloud, the same passage every day, for the last 6 weeks of pregnancy. Then, within 12 hours of birth, they gave the newborns a special pacifier rigged to a sensor. Suck in one rhythm, you hear your mother's voice. Suck in a different rhythm, you hear a stranger's voice. The babies chose their mother, every time, within hours of being born. Because they already knew her. That experiment stopped people cold. Babies aren't blank slates at birth. They arrive with data. Months of it, already sorted and stored. Now here's where it gets really interesting. All that prenatal exposure gives newborns a head start, but they're not specialized yet. Patricia Kuhl at the University of Washington calls a 6-month-old brain a citizen of the world. They can hear every phoneme in every language on Earth. The sounds that separate Hindi from Mandarin, from Swahili from English, a 6-month-old hears all of it clearly. Adults can't do that. We lost it. Kuhl's research tracked American and Japanese babies side by side. At 6 months, both groups scored equally on English sounds, including the notoriously tricky and all distinction. By 10 to 12 months, the American babies had sharpened dramatically. The Japanese babies had dropped to near chance. Not because something went wrong, because something went right. The brain was specializing, locking in the sounds it needed, letting go of the ones it didn't. She calls this process neural commitment. The brain locks onto the sound patterns of the language it hears most and optimizes for those. It's efficient. Brutally so. But here's what nobody tells you. This is also the window. Before 12 months, before neural commitment fully closes, a baby can learn any language phonetically as a native speaker. After that, it's significantly harder. So what is actually happening inside the brain during all this? How does a baby carve words out of a stream of continuous noise, which is exactly what speech sounds like without word boundaries? The answer came from Jenny Saffran at the University of Wisconsin in 1996. And her experiment was almost absurdly simple. She played 8-month-old babies a 2-minute recording of nonsense syllables. Bidakupadoti golabubidaku. No pauses, no emphasis, no clues. Just a wall of sound. Then she tested whether the babies could tell which syllable combinations had appeared together often versus which ones had crossed a word boundary. They could. After 2 minutes. That's it. What the babies were doing, without any instruction, is called statistical learning. They were tracking the probabilities of which sounds follow which other sounds. Syllables inside a word appear together about 100% of the time. Syllables that cross word boundaries appear together only about 33% of the time. The babies felt that difference, filed it away, used it to start pulling words out of noise. I genuinely find that wild. 8-month-olds doing unconscious probability math. No instruction. No curriculum. Just pattern recognition running in the background 24 hours a day. Okay, so here's what nobody tells you about all that statistical learning. It needs fuel. And the fuel is quantity. The sheer volume of language a baby hears shapes how fast and how well this process works. Betty Hart and Todd Risley at the University of Kansas spent 2.5 years recording real families, not lab settings, actual homes. They tracked 42 families across different income levels, logging every word spoken around each child. When they crunched the numbers, the gap was staggering. By age 3, children from higher income professional families had heard roughly 30 million more words than children from lower income families. And the kids who heard more words had bigger vocabularies, stronger reading skills, and better school performance years later. Now, this finding has been debated. More recent research suggests the true gap may be closer to 4 million words, not 30 million. And what might matter even more than raw word count is conversational turns, back and forth exchanges. Not just talking at the baby, but talking with them. One thing nobody disputes: more language, more back and forth, better outcomes. That part holds up. So, what does the right kind of language exposure actually sound like? Because if you've ever caught yourself talking to your baby in that high-pitched, slow, sing-songy voice, you were doing exactly the right thing. That's not embarrassing. That's science. Infant-directed speech, sometimes called parenthesis, does something acoustically specific. It stretches vowels. It exaggerates the distance between sounds. When you say ba-abi in that drawn-out way, you're giving the baby a clearer map of your language's sound system. Patricia Kuhl's lab found that the more exaggerated the vowel sounds, the better babies could discriminate them. You're not dumbing it down. You're sharpening the signal. And the high pitch and slow tempo? That's the social hook. Babies' brains are wired to pay attention to it. It says, this is directed at you. Pay attention. But here's something that should make every parent feel better and every streaming service feel worse. Babies don't learn language from screens. Not meaningfully. Not in the first 2 years. Kuhl's team ran an experiment where 9-month-old American babies were exposed to Mandarin Chinese. One group heard it from a live native speaker during play sessions. A second group watched the exact same speaker on video. A third group heard audio only. The live group learned the Mandarin phoneme at levels comparable to babies raised in Mandarin-speaking homes. The video group and audio-only group learned nothing measurable. 0. Same speaker. Same content. Same exposure. But the screen couldn't do what the face did. Kuhl called this the social gating hypothesis. The brain gates language learning through social connection. Language doesn't enter through the ears alone. It enters through relationship. Now, around 6 months, babies start doing something that looks random. Babbling. Ba 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 ba. Ma ma ma. Parents find it charming. What they don't realize is that babbling is training. When a baby babbles, they're moving their mouth, listening to what comes out, and adjusting. It's a closed loop, motor rehearsal with auditory feedback. The jaw, the lips, the tongue are learning to produce sounds they've been analyzing for months. And caregivers respond to babble by simplifying their own speech, which pulls the baby further into the loop. Research on infants with hearing loss makes this painfully clear. Before cochlear implants, these babies barely babbled at all. The sounds just weren't coming back to them. Within 4 months of getting sound back, their babbling output matched hearing peers. The auditory feedback isn't background noise. It's the engine. There's one more piece of this story researchers are still sorting out, and I want to be honest that nobody fully understands it yet. Bilingual babies seem to get something extra from all this, because they're tracking 2 different statistical systems at once. Their brains appear to stay open longer to phonetic distinctions. Studies from Agnes Melinda-Kovics and others suggest bilingual babies develop stronger executive attention, the ability to switch focus and hold competing information at once. Think of it like running 2 operating systems simultaneously. The CPU has to get faster just to keep up. It's as if that extra load exercises something in the prefrontal cortex that monolingual babies don't develop as early. Whether that's a lasting advantage or an early boost that evens out, we don't fully know yet. The research is ongoing. So what does all of this mean practically? Talk to your baby. Not at them, with them. Pause after you say something and let them respond with whatever they have. A look, a sound, a babble. That back and forth matters more than how many words you cram in. Read to them even before they understand words. They're absorbing rhythm and phonetic patterns on every page.
even when the story makes no sense to them yet. Don't stress about baby talk. It's doing real work. And put the screen down when you're talking to them. Your face, your voice, your eye contact, that's what the brain is actually looking for. Nothing else comes close. Here's what I keep coming back to. Babies aren't waiting to learn language. They're already doing it. The prenatal ear pressed against the womb wall, picking up the rhythm of your voice through fluid and tissue. That's day one. It runs from there without a break, in every babble, every stare, every moment you talk back. The next time your baby babbles something back at you, they're not just being cute. They're practicing. And they're waiting to see what you do next. Here's something to sit with. Your baby stares at your face like it's the most important thing in the room. There's a reason for that. And the science behind it's even stranger.